April 17, 1980, the Union Jack is lowered for the last time in Rhodesia, marking the end of British rule in Africa. It is replaced by this flag, the colors symbolizing peace, minerals, the bloodshed during the two Chimurenga wars, and the black majority race. At the strike of midnight, a nation is born, and the enraptured crowd cries tears of joy. Soon after, Bob Marley and the Wailers take the stage to celebrate the birth of the 50th independent nation in Africa, Zimbabwe.
I, Robert Gabriel Mugabe, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Zimbabwe and observe the laws of Zimbabwe. So help me God. Zimbabwe.
Ah, the big 4-0. Some on social media have said if Zimbabwe was a man, he would be the most unorganized 40-year-old. While this man was once a child, and is it not a village that raises one? Well, this one was raised by some of these very memorable villagers, but none more memorable than the man that held this child in his grips for 37 years. The man, the myth, the legend, Robert Gabriel Mugabe.
Please.
But we are not a British colony.
Come on,
you must know that.
Tell him again.
Right.
Tell him again.
What has the British to do with Zimbabwe? Who are you?
Tell him again.
You bloody idiots.
Last 10 years.
Right, but they were specifically targeted sanctions against individuals, not against the trade or development.
No. The United States sanctions on us are real sanctions, economic sanctions. Have you looked at them?
That are contrary to our values, norms, traditions, and beliefs. We are not gays. So, Blair, keep your England and let me keep my Zimbabwe.
At independence, Tanzania's former president Julius Nyerere told Robert Mugabe that he had inherited the jewel of Africa, encouraging him to take care of it. And in the early years, he did so brilliantly. The nation experienced an explosive boom, and by 1997, it was recognized as the fastest growing economy on the continent, earning the honorary title of breadbasket of Africa. Everyone wanted to get their hands on the home of the Victoria Falls, one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, including celebrities. In 1998, Michael Jackson, the king of pop himself, visited the nation for a secret business meeting with President Robert Mugabe. Zimbabwe was even a host country for a worldwide human rights tour with performances by Tracy Chapman, Peter Gabriel, and rock superstar Bruce Springsteen.
There can be no peace without justice. And where there is apartheid, systematic or economic, there is no justice. And where there is no justice, there is only war.
So how did a country so loved and so revered go from breadbasket of Africa to the basket case of the continent? Well, it began as a result of Mugabe's land reform program, the violent seizure of most of the country's 5,000 white-owned farms. Ostensibly, this was done to give back the country's best land to the black majority. The reality was most of the seized properties were given to Mugabe's cronies. As money disappeared, voices were repressed, Mugabe continued to win elections. Oh, but a new movement was afoot, the Movement for Democratic Change, a party story of challenging the status quo with 2 main protagonists, Morgan Tsvangirai and Nelson Chamisa. As MDC fought, production rates depleted, having a domino effect on the economy, eventually leading to record hyperinflation and the current cash crisis. At its peak, Zimbabweans moved around with $100 trillion banknotes. That's 14 zeros for those counting. And And speaking of counting money, it's impossible to speak of these 40 years without making mention of Grace Mugabe, or Gucci Grace, so affectionately known due to her lavish spending. The wife of the late former president went from typist to first lady to PhD graduate in a record-breaking 3 months. Did I mention her presidential ambitions? In trying to win the race to succeed her then 93-year-old husband, she sparked events that led to the unprecedented and unimaginable. On Wednesday, November 15, 2017, Zimbabwe's military was on the streets of the capital, Harare, and Major General Sibusiso Moyo appeared on the screens of the national broadcaster. And within a short space of 10 days, Robert Mugabe was out and Emmerson Mnangagwa was in.
This is not a military takeover of government.
We are now a free Zimbabwe. Nobody can stop us. Nobody can hinder us. Zimbabwe as a nation is celebrating what today we have achieved.
He is now the former president of the Republic of Zimbabwe.
Despite the crises, Zimbabwe's education has retained its ranking among the best in Africa, with a literacy rate of 90% in 2015. The nation also boasts of 8 Olympic medals, most of them championed in swimming by Olympic medalist, now Sports Minister, Kirsty Coventry. And music. The implementation of the 100% local music policy in the early 2000s led to major advancements in the local urban grooves and sungura genres. This pushed the platform for one of the nation's and Africa's biggest exports, the local musical icon, Oliver Mutukudzi. As Zimbabwe prepares to begin life at 40, some questions still remain unanswered. Questions of justice for brutally repressed activists like Itai Dzamara, abducted in 2015 and to this day remains missing. But above all, answers for the families of the victims of Kukurahundi, the genocidal war in the 80s that massacred over 25,000 people from the Ndebele tribe. Ghosts of the past still haunt the nation. The 40th Independence Anniversary commemorations were meant to be held for the first time this year in the city of Bulawayo, the heartland of the Matabele massacres. However, they have been halted as the country is under lockdown due to the coronavirus pandemic. 40, the number of years taken by the biblical children of Israel to reach the promised land. For the children of Zimbabwe, the journey continues.
That is, we regard as an individual as an individual, and that everybody must be accorded his full political rights, whether he be white or black, educated or uneducated, rich or poor.